Hello and welcome to the Warhammer Meta Chasers. This is your Thursday weekly roundup of the biggest and best tournaments happening all around the globe for Warhammer 40,000. My name is Paul. I'm joined by Adam Camilleri.
G'day.
And Dustin Henshaw. Welcome to the show. Do not adjust your set. We have three great events to talk about. One of them being an event that's near and dear to somebody on the show, the Ottawa 40K Teams Tournament. No one has any idea where that is.
Yeah, no idea. Yeah. You guys have a capital? I'm impressed. Have no idea you were that organized.
Listen to all these words. So yeah, it is a team event, but this is, like I mentioned, this is your live show. We're doing this live each and every Thursday. Typically is at 9 p.m. Eastern time. If you're tuning in now, you found us. We're a little bit early today, but next week, don't worry, everything will be back on track. If you listen to us after the fact in the podcast aggregators, we really appreciate y'all tuning in. Welcome, everybody. We took last week off. I think it was last week. It's been a blur.
Yeah, unfortunately, last week I was well under the weather. I had the con crud. I came back from TerraCon absolutely annihilated, and I was in bed for pretty much 3 days. And then I had no voice for the show at the regular time. So that's on me.
You earned it. And look, we're consistent. We're here almost all the time, but we're here again. Happy to be here talking about these three great events we have to give a look into. But again, that Ottawa 40K Teams event in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada, 162 player, 20 teams of 8. It is a 5-round event. That maybe make for some very interesting pairings and rounds with significant weight to them.
I do like it that it's cheeky 162, so there's at least 2 teams that brought coaches, which I think is always a good way to go, especially when we've got 8 players on the team. You should. If you have the ability to bring a coach, you have somebody who's just happy to not play and help out the team, it goes a very long way. And they're the unsung heroes.
It does. It takes a lot of pressure off. No, so playing, of course, that's what everybody wants to do. You're coming to these things, you want it, and it's hard when you are on the rail, as it were, not in it. And sometimes I know that we feel this way if we're like talking about an event. It's like you just want to jump in and move models around and roll dice. But in the coach aspect, you take a lot of pressure off your teammates to where they can focus specifically on the game, and some of that administrative stuff that normally falls to the captain or somebody else on the team. They're not having to shift their brain into different spaces. They can just stay locked in on what their role for the team is. So that I do think they're a good idea.
Absolutely. So this, of course, is a team event, 8 players, so but 20 teams. So you'll see no more than 20 of any faction. And as close as we get to the 50% mark, that being 10, you will be denoted that this is a stronger than most faction at teams. What are you guys playing with in effect here, Dustin? And what terrain are you playing on as well? Ooh. Yeah.
It's not that old, though. It's not
that old. Yeah. So is that with Orcs CSM Sisters GSC in effect, or? Yeah. Fair. Getting feedback from the chat that they can't hear you, Dusty.
Dustin is indeed talking, but Dustin was just mentioning was talking about some of the fact that they are playing without the brand new things that dropped today, and that's what we were talking about. Well, it's not that old. It's only been a couple days now. Next week, though, all the gloves are off. It needs to be all new stuff all the time, and everyone will be prepared for it and wanting it too. When you're playing at one of the events, you don't necessarily want to be thinking that you're playing in the past. As it were.
Yeah, next week is going to be very spicy. A whole new game almost. A lot of people calling it 10.5, like we're halfway to a new edition, or it feels like when we had it's not quite, but remember when we had all that full injection of all the Psychic Awakening books, and it didn't quite feel like 8th edition, but weren't quite 9th edition.
Yeah.
This isn't quite that big, but it's almost a full reshuffling of the meta, and so we are very excited.
Well,
here on
different
this show.
mission sets. I mean, it shows what they're willing to
Yeah.
do with like pushing different missions, and then it also will affect, what is quote unquote good. I mean, a lot of people are looking at the list now, but we have plenty of time to talk about that in the future and maybe on some other outlets. But while Dustin is getting that audio,
I'm here,
adjusted for himself. Let us know, chat, if you can hear Dustin. That we were talking about the coaches a second ago. It's not always practical, but if you have someone that it can come or wants to hang out and, let them crash in your hotel room, they just come and hang out. Normally it can play a big role.
Yep.
But let's see, Dustin, let's chat. See if they got you. They heard you. Awesome.
Okay.
Why don't you tell us what we're going to see at this event?
Let's see. So the Imperial Super Faction, they're going to be 8 Sisters of Battle, 3 Custodes, 2 Admech, 8 Astra Militarum, 10 Grey Knights, 6 Imperial Knights, Space Marines. There's 2 Adeptus Astartes, 2 Dark Angels, 2 Space Wolves, 7 Blood Angels, 4 Black Templar, Chaos. There's 9 Chaos Space Marines, 9 T-Suns, 9 Death Guard, 9 World Eaters, 3 Demons, and 11 Chaos Knights. 11 Chaos Knights. I'm going to say that again. 11 Chaos Knights.
Well, hang on a second. I would say there should be, 7,000 Suns.
Sorry,
9,000 Suns.
We got those numbers wrong.
7 Death Guard, 8 World Eaters. No, they did.
Zinch is dividing the fates right now for the Heretic Astartes.
There you go.
We're very close. Xenos, there's 12 Necrons, 12 Orcs, so that right there. Apparently in teams, Chaos Knights, Necrons, and Orcs, and even Tau, because there's 10 Tau, are what the Canadians consider to be top lists for team events right now. And then 4 Votann. Hive Mind, there's 6 Tyranids and 2 Gene Stealer Cult. Eldari, there's 3 Drukhari and 9 Eldari, meaning the faction podium is technically Adeptus Astartes, topping it off at 17. So almost every single team, aside from 3, have brought a Space Marine of some flavor. Then second is Necrons and Orcs tied with 12. Then Chaos Knights right behind them with 11. And then Tau and Grey Knights at 10.
I can understand the Tau, because you want to set up those lopsided shooting matchups. And Grey Knights have been strong, but what's up with the Chaos Space Marines coming back up all of a sudden?
You mean the Chaos Knights?
You mean Chaos Knights?
Sorry, Chaos Knights.
Yeah. Dustin, what's the perception up there of Chaos Knights and how they hang in teams?
Well, I could say from my team's perspective, our Chaos Knight player has been absolutely crushing it in team events, so we want to keep bringing them. They have some really good matchups into some really top meta armies that we don't otherwise have an answer for that we like comfortably putting him in there. Plus, it's a very pressureless because he plays with a Lancer, so it actually puts a lot of pressure on the opponent, right? And especially if you're talking about these gunline lists like Tau that are showing up, if they don't have enough big guns, they're going to have trouble.
Happy days for that Lancer as well. Come Monday, that guy goes.
Oh my God, yes!
So very happy days. I'm genuinely of the same opinion. Whilst there are very awkward matchups, kind of in the middle rung of the meta for Chaos Knights, they prey on the top of the meta extremely well.
Absolutely.
A little bit of pairings, nuance, in the fact that they can hang with Necrons. Of course, the not super Catan Necrons actually can have some troubles there, but they hang with Necrons. They hang very well with every stripe of Astartes, and they do extremely well into Grey Knights and Thousand Suns as well. So I think they're a very good pick for a lot of missions and a lot of matchups. Adeptus Astartes, just looking at the microcosm there, Blood Angels over and above the most taken, and I would say that is absolute foreboding for the months to come. Blood Angels look like they will be the strongest Space Marine coming into the new meta as well, with Ironstorm being smacked. Yeah, the shaking of the fist in triumph for Paul Murphy. I don't think there's going to be a Space Marine close to how good Blood Angels are going to be compared to the rest of the pack. So Ottawa's on top of it already. The homogenous Zinchian beauty of the Heretic Astartes conglomerate there. All 9s, mate. Not even Chaos Space Marines taken more than the rest. What is going on there? Is that just there's a very strong Chaos, worshipping contingent in Ottawa?
In Ottawa, it is actually very popular. There's a lot of good Chaos players and a lot of just Chaos officiates. So it's a popular. I mean, there plus a lot of the guys from Toronto that are coming up and bringing them too. It's a popular faction in Ontario in general, actually.
All right, let us jump into that top team in attendance. I did not pick Dustin's team of Stud and Scrub. You can go check that out yourself, but we do try and dodge a bit of nepotism here if we can. But if you are willing to read out what this, because I assume you've looked at what this team is bringing.
In depth.
So I assume you can read this just as good as I can. I will help you with some of the shorthand if you have any issues, but take it away, mate.
Sure. So it's Blunt Force Trauma. So for those of you that are familiar with the events up here, Blunt Force is the one that usually wins a lot of the ones around the Ontario, Quebec area. So they are the team to beat in most cases. They have brought Tau, which is Cao Yun, so it's Shadow Sun Enforcer. Dark Strider 2x10 creatures with what?
Sorry, my baby. Can you hit the transition so people can see it too?
Oh, no.
No, they can't. It's secret. It's secret.
It's secret. It's
They're
secret.
not allowed.
It's secret.
A lot of moving parts of the show.
Now, for everybody that's live, there you go. There you go. So anyway, as I was saying, 2x10 Breachers with Devilfish, 2 Riptides, 3 Skyrays, 3 Darth Scythe suits. Oh, that's the Crisis suits. Yes, okay. Sorry, yes. Crisis bodies, and 3 Piranhas. They also have the Orcs with Bully Boys, so it'll be 2 War Bosses, 3 Mega War Bosses, 2 Pain Boys, Snickrot, Zodrog, so you can see there's going to be the 20 Gretchen, the 10 Gretchen, 2x20 Boys, 6x5 Mega Knobs, 3x5 Storm Boys, and 2 Trucks. Then they got the Blood Angels, of course, the Sons of Sanguinius, 2 Captains, Sanguinar, Lamardes, Sanguinary Priest, Chaplain, Jump Pack, 2x10 Death Company with Jump Packs, 10 Vanguard Vets, 2x5 Assault Intercessors, 2x5 Assault Intercessors with Jump Packs, and then 2 Impulsors. Obviously, Adam usually says at the beginning of it, but I'll kind of preface this too. This isn't the entirety of the list. This is just kind of to give you the archetype. There's going to be a few other, like there is a Scout in there, there's Infiltrators in there, but yeah. This is just
assume
the general archetype,
The ubiquitous utility units are also included. Yeah. I'm not writing down everything in exhausting fashion. I'm just writing out enough so you get the idea of the archetype and what the list does.
And then they have Thousand Suns, Armand, 2 Exalted Sorcerers, Demon Prince with Wings, Magnus, Sorcerer, Infernal Master, 10/5/5 Rubrics, 10 Zangors, 2x10 Cultists, and 2x3 Enlightened. Then we have the Chaos Space Marines. They have the Soul Forged War Pack, so 2 Warp Smiths, 10/5/5 Warp Talons, 2 Vindicators, 2 Forge Fiends, 2 Mauler Fiends, 3 Venom Crawlers. And then Necrons at the Canoptic Court. Yeah. The Canoptic Court is Nightbringer, 2 Technomancers, Silent King, 3 Doom Stalkers, 2x6 Wraiths, and 2 Tomb Sentinels. Adeptus Sororitas. I was about to say the detachment, but that's the only one detachment right now. Vol, Triumph, 10 Sisters, 30 Arcos, 2 Castigators, 3 Paragons, 3x5 Seraphim, and 3x5 Zephyrim. And then, of course, they have the Eldari to top it all off with an Autarch, Fugan, Yvrain, Visarch, 3x5 Spectres, 3x5 Hawks, 11 Troops, 3x5 Spiders, 3x2 Skyweavers, the MSU galore. And that is the 8-pack of Blood Force.
Really strong 8-pack. Notably, not having Knights has been kind of the only one that I would have, like, with more taken more often than not taken by what is assumed to be one of the top teams, is an interesting one, especially when you've said yourself, Dustin, your crew has taken it.
Oh, yeah.
There are some interesting things here. This is a Necron list in totality that's built to kill Necrons as well, taking out 6 race, adding in the extra Doomstalker, the Tomb Sentinels, and the Silent King. The Silent King is very good in the mirror match, especially for killing Catan because it ignores the mods. But there's a couple of other interesting concessions here. Have you guys played against the Demon Prince with Wings in Thousand Suns? I found that popping up a lot more.
He's actually really, really spicy. We talked about him in the last episode too, because he's the one that has the uppy downy ability.
Yes, it does. That being goes off the table at the end of the opponent's turn. Deep Strikes back on, opens up a lot of warp sight angles to let, especially Magnus, shoot as if it's indirect. Now, that's going to be an interesting one to see if that survives the transition, because having a Magnus that shoots indirect but can only hit on 4s is a much worse Magnus.
But once CP to reroll all hits, right? So I mean, it's still it's actively fine, but whether people are willing to take the 150, 200-ish point Demon Prince for the privilege, we'll wait and see. Interesting Bully Boys list, 2x20 boys in that list as well. So this player's trying to be great, have the benefits of Green Tide. Well, I will say he was a Green Tide player, and he's just kind of like, I can't do it. So I think he's trying to keep some aspects of it, but the Bully Boy side.
One of the weaknesses of the Bully Boys is the sheer number of attacks.
Yeah.
True.
So adding in 40 boys, in place of something that has the quality of attacks for the quantity. So maybe reducing a little bit of those bad matchup possibilities. these.
Yep.
Yeah, I like it. Like you run into Endless Swarm and the list doesn't have a problem anymore because you've got 2x20 boys to charge down and mop up all the little gribblies. So things like that just become a non-event. And then you've got a bunch of bodies that don't care about all the extra AP that things like Chaos are wielding now with Renegade Raiders. So I actually like the inclusion of boys. In fact, there's some people have already been saying that like Green Tide might just be in Bully Boys now. Like you actually could just do 120 boys in Bully Boys, give them all the War Boss so they all get the benefits of the double war. And instead, in lieu of being more durable, you just become more pressure because you are faster for more often. Now, this is a really good 8-pack. Dustin, without giving away too much, how have you guys gone about unpacking this, and what have you identified as being lists of concern?
Well, for us, list-wise, we're ready for the lists. We know what the meta's like. We know what the lists are like. So a lot of
confidence.
Whatever. Lists are lists, right? Lists are lists. We know how to play into them. Now it's just a matter of we have to pair our lists that are good into their lists the right way, right? And our pairings we're pretty confident in our pairings, which is good because we got paired into the round one. So
wow.
That's interesting that the tournament is published who your opponents will be in round one.
Yeah, they did it right away. Canada's good for that, actually, or bad, whatever you want to look at it, depending on your opinion on it. But yeah, we know right now, so we have time to prep for it. And to be honest, having this matchup as anticlimactic as it is in terms of we want to fight them in the last round, it is the best for us in terms of the amount of time we have to prepare for it.
Well, it's very interesting. So I said they didn't have Chaos Knights. They kind of do. The Chaos Space Marine list is kind of a Chaos Knights list.
It's all the vehicles. That's what you're referring to, yeah.
Exactly right. Double Vindy, double Forge Fiend, double Morphine, triple Venom Crawler. And then you got the X factor of just having like 20 Warp Talons doing all their shenanigans. They kind of have a pseudo, extra jank spice level Chaos Knights list. That is an interesting list as well because they've eschewed going for the well-rounded all-comers Renegade Raiders for just more the straight line lethality of the Soulforged. Sorry, Paul?
Oh, no. You called the Warp Talons a long, long time ago. So those are going to be like the standout unit. And what we've seen consistently across our views and peeps into the meta is that pack, that configuration of Warp Talents that's existed, and all the other stuff is different, but those Warp Talents are the same.
Yeah, they are the truly ubiquitous. Like they transcend all detachment rules because their data sheet rule is so good it carries them through a multitude of different builds.
And like still in stock right now, I think too. So that means gas based
right?
I think.
Yeah. I mean, please feel free to reassess with the MFM and all that stuff coming out because they have definitely changed their modality. I still think 10 is very good, because they just do something that you can't really put a points number on. Such crazy X factor. But yeah, that is your 8-pack of Blunt Force Trauma. They should do very well. I'd be very surprised if they don't crack the podium. Actually, I'd be stunned if they don't get the podium. But we will see, Dustin. We'll see what you have to say about that.
We're going to give them the opportunity to submarine in this event. We're gracious enough to do that for them.
Nice.
Magnanimous of you.
At team events, so instead of picking what team we think is going to win, because of course it's impossible to showcase all the teams, we pick a faction we think is going to score the highest battle points over the course of the weekend. That can be a tricky thing in a team event too, because remember, like the team in last place could have a couple of absolute standout meta chasing list and be racking up the points.
We'll make Dustin go last, seeing as he's at this event. But Paul, what would you like to go?
Oh, for picking highest battle points. Man, I'm gonna go Blood Angels.
Ah, you bastard!
Yeah, bastard. I was gonna say we're all gonna do it. We're all gonna do it. I'm gonna go CSM.
Yeah, that's another good one.
Dustin, you calling your shot?
I'm not supposed to. No, I'm going to do something else. I think I'm gonna say Orcs.
Orcs or World Eaters would be a really good choice.
Yeah, I was thinking of even going with one of the Chaos Knights. Even was my other idea. But there's a absolute plethora of options in this event. Grey Knights is another one. Someone just goes first with 6 DKs in good pairings, and see you later, alligators, 100 points. So yeah, hard to pick.
Could be anybody's game there, and that's one of the coolest things about looking at this. So we're picking these winners, and then on our part B of our show, the show that's only available to tier 2 and above on the Patreon, we do a follow-up show where we look at the top tens. We actually analyze whether or not how good we were at our predictions in the show before, and the top 10 has been very, very diverse all over the map.
Yeah, absolutely. And while a lot of the top threes at times have been pretty homogenous, the top tens have been extremely exciting to unpack. And more often than not, at a good sized GT, there is one super spicy mad lad that's made it into the top 10, if not onto the podium, with something really exciting to unpack. So hopefully you'll join us over there at Warhammer Meta Chasers on Patreon.
Yeah, we also will break down some of the standout list. We'll talk about the top 10 and some of the winning list there. So it's a little bit more insight into what's going on out there. But consider joining us. We have a good time on those shows. And those are typically come out a few days later, certainly after the weekend has had its results. The next event we're going to be talking about is the San Diego GT. That is in San Diego, California. 62 players, 5-round event.
We will be seeing there the Imperial Superfaction. There are 1 Sisters of the Battle, 1 Custode, 1 Astra Militarum, 2 Grey Knights, Space Marines, 9 Adept Astartes, 1 Dark Angel, 2 Space Wolves, 2 Blood Angels, and 2 Black Templar. Chaos, there's 3 Chaos Space Marines, 2 T-Suns, 3 Death Guard, 1 World Eater, and 2 Demons. Xenos, there's 4 Necrons, 7 Orcs, 5 Tau, and 1 Votan. Hive Mind, there are 4 Tyranids. That's it. Eldari, there's 2 Dracaria and 2 Eldari, meaning the faction podium is Adept Astartes, topping it off with 9. Orcs second with 7, and then Tau close behind them with 5.
Yeah, Vanilla Astartes getting a top podium position that isn't a team event is pretty spice in my world. Usually we're seeing a much more even distribution, usually more so to the Blood Angels and the Black Templars lately. But 9 Vanilla Astartes, that is an interesting thing. We might see that with and it may be a trend that continues in the coming months with the redistribution of things away from the Ironstorm. Might see a lot more Gladius, some people playing around with Firestorms, even going back to the Vanguard. So good one to watch is to see where Space Marines end up. We already kind of called it that Blood Angels are probably the best ones there, but there's still a lot of experimentation to be had. Orcs in really good numbers, Tau in very good numbers, Necrons a little bit lower on things, and very small count of Eldari. But actually, we have found that to be a bit of a trend in California. They have kind of their own thing going on.
You mean as far as like what people are normally taking and what's doing well and how well they'll challenge list concepts.
Exactly right. All they'll just be, play to the beat of their own drum. Like they've got their own little kind of circular meta there, almost eschewed from the rest of the world. And it's not a bad place to be. We've seen some very exciting results out of California recently. I'd like to draw the attention to the fact that there are 0 Knights. No Imperial Knights and no Chaos Knights at this event. 0. Zilch. None. Not a single one. That's not to say that possibly both of the Grey Knight players have Canis Rex. We don't know. I didn't look it up. But it is an interesting thing to see that is one of the flavors over there also, like less big stompies. The top list that I decided to pull out is Chase Chapel. Who's playing Chaos Demons, and I wanted to pull this out, of course, so we could talk a little bit about some of the future changes, because I think the changes for Demons have been very good for the mono god players, people who want to play with mono god, meaning that you are kind of unshackled from Be'lakor. And looking at this list as it would look in, come Monday is actually going to be a really interesting thing to do. So, of course, they've got the Demonic Incursion, they got Be'lakor, they got Bloodthirster with Argath, the King of Blades, 2 Bloodmasters, 2 Ren Masters, and Scarbrand, mad lad. 2x10 Bloodletters, 3x3 Nurglings, and 3x5 Flesh Hounds. So 3 Greater Demons playing essentially mono Khorne, with the exception of Be'lakor and the Nurglings, which unfortunately are kind of necessary evils to have the Nurglings in there just to be able to push back.
Yeah.
First
board presence. Like they still do what they do.
Exactly right. But come Monday, this list gets very interesting, gents. What do you think changes?
Nurglings are right out.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not sure you lose all the Nurglings. I think 1 unit of 3 just to stop first turn, scouts and first turn charges and stuff. But yeah, you're right. You don't need don't need 9 anymore.
Let's touch on that for just a second. I do believe that Nurglings, even with the changes that are coming in the mission pack, are still going to perform that function that we were just referring to, is like giving you maybe a little breathing room, maybe a little bit of a putting a speed bump between you and your opponents. I mean, there are some functions, you just won't take them for the exact. There'll be a question whether or not you take them. If you need that functionality.
Well, I do really like how this list looks when you take out Be'lakor and just replace Be'lakor's points in Blood Crushers, because there are when I looked at the changes from in the balanced data slate, where essentially every greater demon gives their units of their god the Be'lakor's ability, so they can deep strike within the shadows of the warp range and get the close charges. I'm thinking about what's the best units right now that really struggle having to make their way across the board, and Blood Crushers are what I like top of my list.
Yeah,
like Blood Crushers don't love having to go around all the terrain pieces that they may have to go around for being cavalry, and in addition they get shot up pretty awfully a lot of the time. Having them in place of Be'lakor actually adds a very spicy angle to this. In addition, you guys know what the Ren Masters do, yeah? Yeah, we know what the Ren Masters do with the +1 stacking
damage.
Yeah. Absolute shred machines, they are. And but in this list, what are they buffing? They're buffing Bloodletters and Fleshhounds. It's not that exciting. Scarbrand don't need the help.
Oh no, sorry.
Bloodthirster don't need the help.
Those are Skull Throats I'm thinking of. That's the Red Masters are the guys that joined the Bloodletters.
I thought the Blood Masters were the one that joined the Bloodletters.
There's a Skull Throat.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's what they are.
Okay, good.
That's what the Ren Masters are. The Ren Masters are.
All right,
you're making me question it now.
Sorry, yeah, I had to question it myself.
Go to the app.
I mean, somebody that was listening was doing it too.
That's right. So the Blood Master is the one on foot. They'll be joining the Blood Letters. And yeah, the Skull Master is the one on the Jugger. And yes, the Ren Master is on the Blood Throne.
Okay.
So yeah, the Ren Master will be giving, at the start of the fight phase, select one enemy unit within 18 and visible to the model. Khorne demon units get +1 strength, armor penetration, and damage. Wow, what a buff.
Yeah.
So with that, just for the lols, just for the absolute lols, Scarbrand's big attacks will be strength 18, -6, 8 damage.
That's all right.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty good.
He can almost split every single one of his attacks into a separate transport and kill all of them.
Almost, yeah. I mean, issues, of course, with Scarbrand being he's a lot of points and only moves 8 without fly. So he is a big old Gribbly with some issues logistically, but he gets another little leg up when he can deep strike off the Bloodthirster, which is kind of sick also. But yeah, this is going to be really interesting to see where demons go in the coming months. And
KR in the chat's agree and said Khorne is going to be real nasty come real soon.
Yeah, I do think so. I think Khorne is and Monogod in general. I think Slaanesh can also have a very cool build where they can do something similar, a little bit faster in some ways, a little bit slower in others. And yeah, I'm really excited to see where demons go. I think this is going to be a whole new lease on life, especially for the Monogod enjoyer.
Christian said there's not a tournament without a GSE player.
That's right. I agree. I agree.
Where is he? He's playing guard this weekend.
You don't know that.
It's a good list, by the way.
Thank you.
We have looked at that.
Time to pick some winners in this very funky field.
Who's going first? Oh, actually, before we do that, I want to point out that San Diego also has Mike's Taco Club, not sponsored.
Ooh.
But that place is glorious.
Maybe we should contact them to sponsor us because we called them out.
The most important piece of information.
The most important piece of information.
Yeah. Dustin, you went last time. You can go first this time.
Oh, for this one, it's harder though.
Yeah.
What?
It's very hard.
Oh, now I know what you're going to say. Okay. I don't want to go Orcs again, but I feel like Orcs is the right choice here.
All right, Orcs. Paul, what would you like?
Well, Dustin just took my pick. So, let's go with Grey Knights.
Not a bad pick. I'm just going to go with Stardies.
Go with the
numbers. Trying to play the numbers.
I'm just playing the numbers. This field is too wild. Too wild. Playing the numbers.
It is a bit, but I like that, especially, with, 5 rounds, 62 players, there's going to be some good matchups.
Yeah, absolutely.
the reason I say that is because the winners are going to have a harder time being filtered out to play maybe even a down player, or someone that's playing down or playing up. I think the people are always going to be playing against people with comparable records on that day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally agree.
Next event is going to be the Musterland Major. That is from the Rhine, Germany. I hope I said that right.
We'll take it.
Yeah. All right. 95 players, 5-round event.
We will be seeing in the Imperial Super Faction there are 3 Sisters of Battle, 5 Astra Militarum, 4 Grey Knights, and 4 Imperial Knights. The Space Marines are 7 Adeptus Astartes, 1 Dark Angel, 4 Space Wolves, 3 Blood Angels, and 1 Black Templar. Chaos, there's 10 Chaos Space Marines, 4 T-Suns, 6 Death Guards, 7 World Eaters, 3 Demons, and 2 Chaos Knights. Xenos, there's 6 Necrons, 7 Orcs, 4 Tau, 4 Votan. Hive Mind, there's 4 Tyranids, and there's our G-Circle player again. Eldari, there's 1 Drukhari and 4 Eldari, meaning the faction podium is Chaos Space Marines, topping it off with 10. Then Astartes, World Eaters, and Orcs tied in second with 7, and then Necrons and Death Guard with 6.
Very nice podium spread. 6 factions making the top 3. We always love to see that. Anything above 5 is going to be deemed by us, your arbiters of the meta, to be a decent spread. 6 or more is really good. 7 or more is absolutely freaking amazing. I think the most we've seen is 9 factions on the podium, which is a beautiful day in the meta and therefore the world. But yeah, this is going to be another very spicy one. 5 rounds, 100 players, very strong numbers for most of the expecteds. Once again, Vanilla Astartes in singles making the top place there for the Space Marines, as much as Space Wolves and Blood Angels put together for the vanilla varieties. We do know that the Vanguard has been played pretty heavily over in Europe, and in addition, Europe slavers are very heavily into the Heretic Astartes as well, but usually those have been more distributed towards Death Guard and Thousand Sons, but now I think we're seeing the swing back with the new codex towards Chaos Space Marines, which is no surprise to anyone out there. But yeah,
are you saying that the Chaos players basically just become a fan of Chaos and you kind of live in those different factions? Yeah.
Very few Chaos players play a single Chaos faction, is what I've found. The Chaos players embody the Dark Gods and usually play a myriad of different sub-factions therein. And these are very unique sub-factions. It's not like just playing your blue Space Marines as Blood Angels, This is like, I have a World Eaters army, I have a Thousand Sons army, I have a Chaos Space Marines army. Very distinct. And more so than many other super-factions, we see Chaos players are more mobile and more fluid within their super-faction. And Chaos is always the great one to track for where the real power is within that super-faction, because it'll always be the number one, because people who play that faction play 4 or 5 different factions within there. And great boon to them that they have such a variety of different play styles. Like, you couldn't think of 2 lists that play more different but still have power armor on than like World Eaters and Thousand Sons. They
true.
Play completely different games, but still wearing the same power armor. But yeah, Chaos Space Marines over and above the rest. Necron's a little bit on the lower side, which is not a surprise. Still making the faction podium, no problems. Orcs as well. And yeah, once again, a little light on the Eldari, which we'll have to wait and see. I just think that the waves of MSU nonsense is just not a play style that all Eldari players are attracted to.
Yeah.
It's boring.
It's boring. I was going to add to that, but it's boring.
And not everyone wants to get that many of those units. Like, I don't want to have 3x5 Spectres, 3x5 Warp Towers, 3x5.
By now, shouldn't you already just have them? I feel like they've always been something you want to have, right?
If you track from all of 10th edition, where at the start it was like Wraith Knight and who cares, the rest of the army, who cares? Then it was Wraith. So the gun wraiths, what are they called? Not Wraith
Guard.
Yeah, it was just Wraith Guard, Yinkan, and the rest, who cares? And now it's a very specific multitude of 5. These things have to be these things.
Yeah, but those figures have been out since the 70s. You could get,
That's what I'm saying, right? You're talking about just 10th. I'm talking about since the beginning of 40K, really?
Well, what I was getting at is that there could be players who picked up Eldar in 10th edition to buy miniatures older than they are.
Oh, if you started Eldar at the beginning of 10th edition, your Eldar collection is wonky.
Weird. Very weird. I mean, you probably don't have the 9 wave serpents that you need to get through 6th and 7th edition. You don't have, you get the idea. You don't have 30 shining spears that got you through 8th edition.
Yeah, shining spears.
Yeah. So Eldar is a faction of extremes.
Yes.
And they have been for a long time. And yeah, I do see it as being pretty unpalatable for a new player to look at like, man, my kids are like, I wasn't even thinking about having kids when this Swooping Hawk came out. Like I was in nappies and being like, I'm not buying 15 of these to play this list. And then it's like, I'll sit on the sidelines and play something else for a bit. Which is fair enough. The one list I pulled out is Mr. Florian Schmidt, who is one of the WTC Team Germany perennials. He's usually always playing for Team Germany. He's playing Empress Children, Chaos Space Marines.
Ooh.
Well, with not much Empress Children. He's just got Lucius in there. He's playing the Renegade Raiders detachment. He has Lucius the Eternal, Master of Executions, 10 Cultists, 5 Legionaries, a single Rhino, 3x3 Bikers, which I'm actually very high on. I think the 3 Chaos Bikes are very good. 2 Predator Destructors, a single Vindicator, a single Forge Fiend, 5 Havocs with Las Cannons, a single Venom Crawler, and then 10-10-5 Warp Talons, which we are seeing here, there, and every freaking where. But the one-ofs of the tanks and then the double down of the Destructors, so 5 hulls is not bad, plus the Rhino 6 hulls, and then a lot of MSU to go around it. Mind you, it doesn't have the number of legionaries we would usually see in a lot of different places, and doesn't have any chosen, which we've started to see a lot in the Renegade Raiders also. But how do you boys feel about this one?
Curious, why go Emperor's Children?
Lucius.
Me too.
You just want Lucius.
I mean,
but
Lucius,
it has to be the
Warlord.
It has to be him. Like, whatever the reason, Lucius is the main one.
I feel like, that if this wasn't Emperor's Children, if Lucius didn't have to be there, Lucius wouldn't be there either. So
Agreed. I'm actually going to have a quick look at Lucius. What does he even do?
Yeah, I don't even know if he can do that.
So in combat, he has 8 attacks with precision at 5.22, which is actually quite good. He has fights first as well, which gives to his unit, which is why I was waiting to see the chosen unit, because even just 5 chosen with fights first from Lucius is pretty terrifying. And yeah, whilst leading a unit gives fights first. Each time this model is destroyed by an enemy unit, that unit must take a leadership test. If that test is passed, they suffer D3 mortal wounds. If they're failed, they suffer D6 mortal wounds. If mortal wounds inflicted in this way destroy that enemy unit, set this model back up on with a D3 wounds remaining. So he gets back up. And then, of course, he has his Doom Siren, which is just a Strength 6 AP1 Flamer.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't get it either. I don't get,
I don't get
what he's doing over and above a regular Chaos Lord. I would understand it, and I even think he can be quite good in a couple of different builds, but there's no big melee unit to get value from his fights first. So I'm actually I'm scratching my head. Is this just Florian just like, lol, I'll take Lucius? Doesn't really.
Can Lucius
maybe
join Talons?
There's a side bet that is like, I bet I can win this thing with Emperor's Children.
That's fair.
Like,
nah, You know what? Those exist. Yeah. I know that.
Yeah.
That happens. 100%.
Look, he may be going through the rotation. Next week is going to be World Eaters. The week after that is Night Lords.
He's just working his way down. But ostensibly, Lucius is just taking the place of a Chaos Lord. And he does have a little bit of spice on top of a Chaos Lord. I do like the precision addition, but mind you, there's a 1 CP strat in Renegade Raiders to just get precision. So, yeah. No, a little bit of a head scratcher, and I was hoping we could find some insight on the show. But ostensibly,
one of the things though that we've learned time after time is we rarely ever, second guess the pilot. They know what's up. There's intent. The players know what they're doing, and they're going to get some wins.
But yeah, Florian will do very well. Does very well every event he goes to. But this one is going to be another fun one to pick some winners for. But Paul, would you like to go first?
I think it's your turn to go first.
Chaos Space Marines.
Experience.
Paul, what would you like?
Yeah, I know Chaos Space Marines does seem like it's going to be a real standout. It's going to be tough. Gonna be tough. I'm going Astra Militarum.
Ooh, not bad numbers. What about yourself, Dustin?
We're in Europe. I'll do Death Guard. Let's go.
Oh, yeah, it's a good pick. Death Guard or T-Suns in Europe, never a bad shot.
Nice. That's our events we're covering this week. But the show's not over yet. This is where we take a break, take a little breather. Sometimes we might introduce a sponsor. Watch this space. You never know. In light of that, we'll sponsor ourselves. Check us out on Patreon. Don't forget to do those likes and shares and stuff. Tell some folks that if they want to know what's happening in the meta, to come listen to us and hang out on the YouTube page, because that helps us out.
Absolutely does.
Sincerely appreciate it. Patreon, though, is where you can get that part 2 of the show. It also has access to a Discord, and chat, and we do the second part of the show. You don't want to miss it. It's fun. It's actually fun. It's another excuse to get together, another excuse to talk about Warhammer, which, we will always take an excuse to do that. But what y'all get to hear is what actually transpired at the events that we covered, and, how the meta is actually shaping up just beyond some of the feature list and what the top players are doing. Top players are always out there. The next top players are always there knocking on the door, hanging
Absolutely.
out. And we're taking a peek. Now it's time for that moment of calmness, relaxation, chill outness, where we have a segment we call the Flaker Rapido, which rarely ever has anything to do with Warhammer. Sometimes it does. You just got to tune in to find out. But we give ourselves a series of topics and give ourselves a time limit to run down to talking about those topics, given the hottest takes, when we can, when and where we can. Then when the clock is at 0, we abandon the topic, never to return to it again. Only bade those folks over on the aforementioned Patreon that can change the rules on that.
Random creativity.
Yeah, there's no real theme, just kind of some stuff to do with creativity. And just
fair.
Fair.
I assume next week is going to be biggest winners and losers from like Datasheet and Dataslate and stuff. But
probably.
Fair enough. Let's see what nonsense you've dug up for us, Dustin.
All right, so the first one is, when you were a kid, what name did you give your favorite toy or stuffed animal?
Ooh. I played with. So a lot of my toys already had names, like my Ninja Turtles, my Spawn toys,
all the stuffed animals. Those are the ones you normally have the name, right? Because I played with a lot of GI Joes, and the same thing. They already have names.
A long time since I was a kid.
Dante, I'm assuming was Paul's.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. He had a bear named Dante.
Yeah.
Wait, were you into 40K when you were a kid?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the teenager, but yeah.
Teenager, yeah. Okay. You didn't have a stuffed animal when you were a teenager, though.
I think I just had a teddy bear.
I'm not judging. I'm just curious.
I think I just had a teddy bear called Ted. I think I was just that lame.
Yeah. I mean, I was pretty lame too because I had a white teddy bear called White.
Ooh, yeah. Okay.
I can tell you that if any indicator, I can tell you about my sons. One had a wolf named Wolfie, and then a blue bear who was blue named Blue Bear. So
We're sophisticated at that age.
We were very sophisticated, yeah.
Very front.
So I probably had something similar,
I mean, it was a white teddy bear for me. So after a while, my mom made me start calling it Dirty instead because it got pretty dirty.
I remember my brother. He had Super Ted. He had a teddy
Ted
bear with a cape, and I was so jealous.
Oh, Super Ted!
I was very jelly.
But did your Ted come alive and make a very hilarious movie with Mark Wahlberg?
Maybe.
Hey,
I didn't end up this weird by accident, right?
That's what? This might actually explain a lot. I think we might have cracked some history here on Adam.
We did.
Okay, all right. Next one. What is an Olympic sport that doesn't exist but should?
Oh. Blood
Bowl.
That would be amazing, but so wrong.
How good would that be?
Is cup stacking not in the Olympics? I think there's a competition for it, but
cup stacking?
Cup stacking?
Yeah, where you build the cup up into a little pyramid and stack it back down.
Yeah. I've seen people doing that. It does look impressive.
It is impressive.
How do you, is it just speed? Is that what it's judged off? Fair. Yeah, fair. Cornhole.
Yes. If curling's in it, there's no reason cornhole should.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking. Freaking curling can make it into
I will say, though, have you watched
Olympics?
competitive cornhole?
Okay, so don't hate me.
No.
Don't hate me, guys. What the hell's cornhole?
I thought you say what's curling. I'm like,
Oh, of course I know what curling is. I'm from Canada. Come on.
You throw bean bags into a board.
Oh, that's okay. So I do know what it is instead of what it was called. Okay.
Competitive cornhole takes the fun out. The fun of cornhole for me, like shooting in the yard, is that rarely anyone is ever that good that comes over.
Yeah. I do agree. Is darts in the Olympics?
Oh, that's I feel like it is, but I don't think it is.
If curling can make it, darts can make it.
I feel like
is that the bar? Like, if curling's there, then all this other stuff should be there.
I mean, curling is pretty popular here. Don't say it shouldn't be there until you come to Canada and watch one curling event.
What I love about darts is the sheer specimens of the athletes. It's so good. It's just so good. And there's dudes who like can't throw the darts without a drink in their hand. Like it actually unbalances them. So they have to like get a glass of water just to hold in their hand because they're used to throwing 100 million darts with a beer. And so they're just like, it's so good. Anyway,
got some great suggestions in the chat.
Hot dog eating, yep. Medieval football. I think we should have jousting. Jousting would be cool, but
jousting would be very cool. Yeah, holy crap! I'd care about I'd care if there was jousting. Or
there was a reality TV show over here that was about jousting, and I think they had to wrap it up like, "Yo, y'all are really being dangerous."
Yeah.
All right, next one. What fictional character do you have a beef with? Paul has a lot. You can see it in his face when he read that.
The ones I don't have beef with might be shorter.
Well, it's like your top 3 then, if you have.
Yeah, definitely like Emperor Snoke.
Snoke, yeah.
And on the other side of that, Poe Dameron. A lot of them are Star Wars related. It's going to be Star Wars related.
It's funny that.
Really?
Any beef from the original trilogy, then, just to make it spicy for us.
That's a good one.
Because I could reel off like a list as long as my arm from the more recent additions.
Yeah, no, with all the we can dissect the original trilogy, and basically chalk it up like, oh, you just remembering happier times because you were a kid when you saw them or whatever. Like, no, they were actually good movies, and you kind of went along for the ride, even when.
Cloud City.
Lando Calrissian.
Selling at Han.
Yeah,
Lando. Sold that Han, man. And got effed over anyway.
Yeah.
Which he should have known was going to happen. It's the Empire. You let him in the door, man.
Yeah.
They're going to take your whole arm. He gave up Han for nothing.
Apparently, we have a lot of beef with the Star Wars characters here.
Yeah.
I was expecting like a Marvel or DC answer, probably Marvel.
So who? I can't remember the kind of the bad guy that turned on him on the ship in the Matrix.
Yeah,
Cypher. Yeah. I got some beef with him.
Yeah.
I got some beef with him too. I think the reason it's not comic book related is because there are so many story arcs, and where someone is demonized and then redeemed over and over and over again in comic books. It's actually very hard to have a consistent beef.
And Batman.
I have beef with every single director that thinks making a Fantastic Frickin' Four movie is a good idea. Every single one. Every single person who greenlit, sat around a board table and nodded as someone put out this absolute tripe that has been every single Fantastic Four film.
Yeah, okay. I can respect that.
Real. If Batman just put his money into helping people instead of beating up,
it's true.
It's
true.
Wouldn't need Batman, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's sad, but it's true.
All
right, next one. What is the worst television series reboot so far? Television or series reboot so far?
Reboot. So it has to have already existed.
Has to have already existed, yes.
Trying to think of it. Yeah.
There's actually some good ones recently, but there's been some bad.
Give me some examples
of ones that have come back. Well,
reboots, yeah.
There's like a bunch of sitcoms that come back. Like they did Frasier.
Oh, like Fuller House or
Fuller
whatever.
House, yeah.
I didn't watch that, but but how could it be as good as
the original? It couldn't.
There's only a few that I can think of that actually worked. Like The Office was one that actually worked.
When they tried to like bring Scrubs back, like with his.
Did they?
Oh,
Did they
yeah.
try to bring Scrubs back? I didn't know.
Well,
that.
this is like season 10 or whatever was like a complete departure from the hospital, and they were in a school or teachers as teachers, so it was not good.
Yeah, and it didn't have Zach Braff in it, right?
Oh,
I don't remember.
Yeah, I believe it didn't have Zach in it. Mind you, Scrubs is aged poorly.
Oh yeah. Look, I'm not talking.
Wow.
We're not talking about is it a great show? We should talk about it. You said what is the worst reboot?
Yeah.
I didn't watch it, but I hear that the Velma cartoon was horrific.
Oh, I didn't even know that one too. Man,
yeah,
I'm finding
folks, that's on like one of the stream HBO or something. Yeah, people say that's terrible. I haven't watched it either because,
I mean, it's gonna show my 90s vibes, but Sex and the City they will just not let those ladies retire.
They will not.
Not allowed. They're gonna be like that is the worst reboot of the Golden Girls. I'm gonna say it as it is. That's I'll get in trouble. but yeah, the Sex and the City. They just keep bringing that awful trash back again and again and again.
The Thundercats reboot. I have not watched the Thundercats reboot because I've also heard it's so bad.
Oh, that was mine. The Thundercats reboot is just no.
How did we feel about the He-Man reboot, gents?
So I've watched it and I don't mind. It didn't capture me like the original He-Man did.
It exactly. It didn't get me. I mean, I'm no longer the 5-year-old I was when I was watching it, but I didn't hate it. But like you said, it didn't have the magic.
Yeah.
And that's maybe it.
But I mean, I think my view on reboots has now been skewed because X-Men 97 was just so freaking brilliant. I can't. Nothing else will match up to that now. It's just impossible.
So good shout out in the chat for Ghostbusters. So Ghostbusters, I am gonna like Aliens, where there was 2 good films, and now there are so many bad ones that the 2 look like the aberration rather than the franchise being good now. And I think Ghostbusters in a similar vein. And he could even argue.
The most recent. I don't know about the most recent movie, but the one that they just made, the first one they made with the kids. And
Afterlife?
I enjoyed that one. Yeah, I enjoyed that one.
Yeah, I enjoyed that too.
We could do a whole Fuego right here.
All right,
yeah.
I'm taking
sorry, no, I don't want to jump in the middle of your analysis of the Ghostbusters movies, but I did enjoy that one.
Yep, I did too.
Good.
All right, and the last one. This one's mostly for Paul too. If you could make the ultimate sandwich, what would be on it?
Ooh.
Look, I'm not like one of those people that love bacon so obnoxiously that it would make you not like bacon. But I feel like when you are talking about the ultimate sandwich, bacon is a part of it. You absolutely have to have a layer of fat that can come in mayonnaise. I do prefer the Kewpie mayo, the Japanese mayo. But I believe you take it a little bit a step further. Got to put whenever you put like a lettuce on there, you got to season, or tomato, which I'm not saying tomato should be on there, but lettuce should. That texture for that texture, but you got to salt it a little bit. A little bit of salt goes a long way with the lettuce. So
salt and lettuce. I haven't heard of that. Okay.
Yeah. No, so when I talk about what type of sandwich, this is any type of sandwich.
Okay. All right, we're
put those things on there. And I think the bread should stand up to whatever you're going to put on there. So it has to have a good density to the weight of what's on your sandwich ratio, but it should only serve or mostly serve to contain what is inside of it.
So you're not like a bread guy? There's not like a specific kind of bread that you want to have your sandwiches on?
No, I love bread. Like you put a bowl of bread or tortilla chips, they're all getting eaten. There's no stop. I don't know how to quit eating that. It's either quit bringing it or I pass on. Like that's the only way to stop happening. But I'm saying it is an important component. It needs to perform a function, maybe above what the taste is. The function of the bread goes above.
So you're a function guy with the bread. Okay, interesting.
My 2 favorite sandwiches are Cubanos and banh mi's. Those are my 2 favorites. If I could somehow harness the goodness of both into one,
power.
So that would be like the chili, the pate, the pickles, the
so
roast pork goodness.
You need
with
to
the
work
smoked
together
hock.
with Paul to figure out the bread to hold that and how to get the right lettuce and tomato and everything in there to make that sandwich happen.
Yeah,
You can grill a banh mi.
Absolutely, you can.
That's right. You can do that.
I mean, you're an adult. No matter, I can't.
So both have pickles. Is key here. Both have smoked meats,
Yeah.
as in smoked hock and ham in one, and then you got roast pork in the other. So those can be kind of changed out. One's a pressed toasted sandwich. One's in a French roll. So I don't know which one of those is better. There is the French roll is problematic at times. It makes an absolute. You're fighting with the roll to eat the sandwich. You end up with half of it down your front. If you're wearing a nice shirt or you're going out like on a business or something, not a good option. You're going to end up with crumbs all over you. Whereas the Cubano is a pretty safe little wrapped up parcel. You just eat it as you go.
So you agree with me about the bread?
I do agree with you about the bread. I do agree with you about the bread, mate. The bread is the make or break. You can have the most delicious fillings in the world, and if the bread ain't up to the challenge, your sandwich is ruined. But yeah, that's my best. Putting those
I
two
think
together
you two
somehow.
need to get together and make this sandwich for Adam happen, because Adam's going to need Paul's help.
Mind you, I have had a brioche chicken deep fried chicken fillet with double bacon, double cheese, double pickles.
Oh my god!
In the South, like I had them in Louisiana, and oh my gosh, yeah baby. And po' boys are up there somewhere as well. Po' boys get a mention, but I find po' boy is like just well cooked, well fried foods with good sauce, and that's it. And then you don't mess around any further.
You need lettuce on that too. I think you need that.
You do. You need the crunch, you need the freshness. But mind you, I think if you mess with a po' boy, it would lose the goodness of what it is. Anyway,
I have a question. Anyway, I think we may have addressed this before, but is a hot dog a sandwich?
We have definitely addressed this before.
Nah.
It was a whole fuego.
I don't rate hot dogs. The only hot dog I like is the Chicago dog, and that's because it's more other things than dog.
Is a counterpoint to that is putting meat on one piece of bread a sandwich? I
mean, probably by some thesaurus or dictionary, yes.
I think between the bread, between is what makes the sandwich.
That's what I said. So like with a hot dog, is it between bread or just kind of in one bread? I don't. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. For another episode,
we answer the really difficult questions here on the Meta Chasers.
We do. You get the good stuff. This is the quality.
This is the quality stuff. But that is the fuego. And then
that's our show this week. It has been a pleasure hanging out and talking about Warhammer and other things with y'all. Thanks a lot for coming and hanging out live in the chat. And of course, Adam and Dustin. Love doing this with y'all every week.
Always a pleasure.
A good time.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Hit those buttons. Leave some comments on the YouTube page. It means a whole lot to us because that's what tells other people that the algorithms should point them in our direction. And that's what we need. Until next week, everybody. We'll see y'all later. Good night.
See you next
Bye.
time.